Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Shamkalian, the Vice Chair of Pennsylvania Film Industry Association. And one of our missions is offering educational and networking opportunities to actors and filmmakers, and especially the aspiring ones. And we're immensely grateful to Vincent Pastore, who offered his word of guidance to our aspiring actors and filmmakers. So we have a few questions for you today, and we would like to offer practical advice this time, so something that can really help our aspiring talent move forward. So the first question for you would be, when you get into that audition room, how do you make yourself stand out? How do you make yourself remembered? And that's probably for when you were just starting more.
No, I still audition. You have to be off book. You have to be in character. If you can get any props in there, like a coffee cup. When you walk in the room, as soon as you walk in the room, be in character. Don't waste time saying, hello, I know your uncle and I work with your brother or something like that. They don't want to hear that. Just walk in the room. I'll give you an example. Years ago, Ted Demme was doing a short film called The Bet. It was before he launched into his major movie career. He's Jonathan Demme's nephew. And I walked into the room. I was totally in character, and he gave me the spot, the character. He gave me the job right in the spot. And he said, "It's yours." And I guess when we're starting off, we're a lot hungrier than when we get older. But you got to go in like, this is it. You're not going to hire anybody else. You're going to hire me. You got to have that attitude. But don't go in there and start dropping names and stuff. Just go in character, and even if you have to leave in character, leave in character. I had an acting teacher, Tommy Waits. He used to say, training to be an actor is like an athlete training to go for a fight. You cannot go into that ring unless you train. I saw Mike Tyson last night on Jimmy Fallon, and he's training to fight. He's in his 50s now. He's doing a comeback. He's crazy. But he's training. An actor has to train. It goes back to your first question, how do you prepare for an audition? If you're not trained, if you don't know who you are and what your instrument is, you're not going to get to second base. So you got to find out who you are first. I mean, that sounds a little deep, but you do need to find out who you are. You find somebody, it connects, and they become your teacher and your mentor. And if you're not connected with that person, don't go to another class. You got to connect. You got to be on the same level. You got to think the same. You also have to be able to take criticism. A good teacher is not going to tell you, "Oh, you're great," 90% of the time. He's going to tell you, "Yeah, you were terrible. Can you fix that? Can I see you better next week?" Because a good teacher wants you to work, and you're not going to get work unless you're good. Producers and directors don't hire an actor because they want to do those people a favor. Somebody wrote a script. You wrote a script. You give it to the director. You both have a vision of who that person is. So you want an actor to come up and take that person off the page and make it real. And you got to learn. I don't care who says, "Oh, I didn't take an acting class in my life." Bull dinky. You got to study. Yeah. You got to know. There's so much. There's a book, though, Uta Hagen from the HB Studios. She's a founder. It's a book called Respect for Acting. And if you read that book, you'll find out. Somebody asked me a question the other day. When you work on a movie, is there something personal usually with you? And I say, well, these are tricks that we use. But a lot of times, if I want to connect to my mother, I'll have like maybe her rosary beads in my pocket. So if I want to connect to that emotional recall, that's a trick. Another trick is to wear like a tie or tie clip that your father had, or his ring. You know, when I was doing Boats Over Broadway, I went to wardrobe and I said, I want to wear this watch. Is it going to hurt my wardrobe? And they said, no, actually it works. It's kind of stylish for the 20s. And then they said, where'd you get that watch from? I said, this is from Gandolfini. I wanted to wear Jimmy's watch on stage every night. Yeah. You know, these are personal things that you do. Glasses is a good prop. See, there are roles where you should be wearing glasses, and there are roles where you should be wearing glasses. It changes your whole persona. You know, I have in my box over here, I got like 25 different pairs of sunglasses because I like to use my glasses as a prop. You know, and Made in Chinatown, I wear these casino type big yellow glasses, and then I wore those same glasses, similar glasses in Luc Besson's movie with De Niro and the Family. And De Niro said, "Where'd you get those glasses?" Because he saw them; they looked like the glasses from Casino. So hats are great props, jewelry, you know, all this stuff to make that character become who he is. I suggest studying and learning any which way you can. Okay. Whether it's with community theater or regional theater or taking an acting class online or taking an acting class in the studios. Theater is very important because theater teaches the actor how to become a better actor. Mm-hmm. All of the great actors came from the stage. Mm. You know, all of the great actors came from the stage, and they go back to the stage. They return back to the stage because they're comfortable and it keeps them busy. And the best thing about doing a play is when the curtain goes down, and then you see who's in the audience. You know, whether it be your fans or your family, because there's a great satisfaction there. As opposed to film, I'll give you a story. I was doing Awakenings with De Niro and Penny Marshall, and I took my daughter to the premiere. And Penny stood up in front of the screen, and she said, we shot 4.5 hours worth of film, but I had to condense this down to 2 hours, so some of you people are not in this movie. And we're sitting there, and I'm poking my daughter. I said, my scene's coming up with De Niro. And it was cut, and I don't know where it went. And years later, I asked Penny, whatever happened to that scene when I was working on writing Cars with Boys? She said, I don't know. It's like, where is it? Yeah. You know, where if you're doing a play, and if I say, listen, I got a show tonight, I got 2 tickets for you at the box office, you're going to enjoy the night. You're going to enjoy it. And that's why we got to get theater open again in New York as soon as possible. Because, you know, it's the pulse of acting. You know, it is.
What is something that you've learned that you can now tell actors who are just at the beginning of that path? Like, don't do that or something. Okay. Like, definitely
I got the answer right here.
Okay.
Never tell another actor what to do. Okay. You don't tell the other actor how to play the scene. You're not the director. Unless you're in class and you are doing scene work. And then both of you guys got to figure out how to block the scene. Don't tell another actor how to play the scene. You know, we got it all made up. We know what we want to do. We did our own research. You know, listen to the director. He's your boss. And if you're doing a play, after previews, the director goes home and the stage manager gives you notes. And you're not supposed to change your performance. A lot of people do, but you're not supposed to because we were doing Bullets Over Broadway, and Woody came in one night and he said, that's not the way you know, they changed it. So after the previews and it's open tonight, you're supposed to keep the performance pretty much the same the way the director told you. That was his job.
Agent relationship is always a big question. Now, they're agents and they're managers. Yeah. What is the difference in relationship between actor and agent?
Night and day.
Night and day? Okay.
Yeah. A good manager he drives your career. A good manager tells you what movies to take, what TV shows to take, or try to get. Then there are managers who say, hey, I'm a manager and I'm going to get you in this, I'm going to get you in that. And they don't, because they don't have the contacts. So a good manager has to have contacts. If you're with somebody for a year and that manager didn't get you anything, leave them. And don't sign. I don't think you should sign with managers. You have to sign with agents, because agents are under SAG-AFTRA and equity jurisdiction. They handle your contracts. But you don't have to sign with a manager. I've had a manager for the past 20 years. He's got me a lot of great work, including Wu-Tang. And then when he gets me the job, he tosses it over to my agent to handle the deal and to work out the fine-tuning, when you're going to work, your per diem, how much salary you're going to make. You could have both if you're making a lot of money. If you're not making a lot of money, you don't need both. So you either need a manager, a good one, or an agent. But you don't need both until you're making a lot of money.
Okay.
Take 20% out of your paycheck and then taxes. Yeah.
Yes.
But a good manager is someone, like there's a woman in New York. I love her. Her name is Diana Prano. She comes to my classes and she looks at the students to my class, and she kind of knows who's going to be able to make it. And there's a kid in my class who was in my class, because after you take so many workshops, I say, you can't take them no more with me. I need the room for somebody else. This kid, Derek, she loved his work. She got him on Blue Bloods. He wound up getting his union card.
Good.
She saw him in the class. She's a good manager. She helped him. While there are some managers, like my friend Louis was over here, and I said, how are you working out with your manager? He says, I haven't heard from her in 6 months. So, and if you sign with these people, and they don't get your work, you're stuck in a contract, Yeah.
When you have several projects that are offered,
Yeah.
And you like them all, and they're all shooting at the same time, and you've been selected, how do you make that choice?
You make it work. I was doing Witness to the Mob in the daytime and Mickey Blue Eyes at night.
Okay.
You make it work.
Okay.
That's your agent's job, or your manager's job, whatever you got, or both. It's not up to you to work out your schedule.
Okay.
If I say, Maria, do you want to come to New York? And I got 3 days work for you, and I give you the dates, and I give them to you, and you say, okay, and then you don't show up, I got a problem. So your agent is supposed to work the deal out with the producers.
Yeah.
If you make a deal verbally with a producer and you don't show up for work, you can get sued. You got to be careful. But when you have more than one project, that's what happens when you have more than one audition. You don't have an audition for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden you got 2 the same day. Which one do you learn? You got to learn them both, even if you have to stay up all night.
What if they're at the same time? How do you choose if they're at the same time? Sometimes it happens.
You mean an audition? Well, if you had an agent, they would tell you.
Okay.
If you don't have it, or a manager, that's why it's called manager. They manage your career.
Yeah.
What they do is they try to reschedule it where you can go to one at 11 o'clock or one at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They pick up the phone. They say, Vinny has an audition at 11. Can we see him at 3? They want you to get the job.
Some often audition for the same roles. And now you have your friend coming in, auditioning with you for that same role, and one of you gets it. How do you deal with that?
there's ways of dealing with that.
Yeah, because you don't want to be mad, but you're also kind of like, oh.
No, but you see, there's ways of dealing with that, especially when your agent handles 5 guys that look like you.
Yeah.
And then you go audition for something, and you and 4 other guys from the same agency are there, and you say to yourself, what'd they send these people in? Well, an agent wants to get 10%. He may love you and care for you more than the other guy sitting next to you. But realistically, if one of those 5 people that he sends in gets the job, he's still making his 10%. So how do you deal with that? You got to zone yourself out. There are guys that come in and they see you sitting there and they see you trying to focus, because I try to focus, and they try to distract you, and you got to say, enough, stop. What are you trying to get? You got. And there's sometimes when, I'll give you an example. I was auditioning for Wu-Tang Clan, and I go in the lobby, and my buddy Jimmy was there, my brother Lenny was there, and Joey was there. All these guys I know, two of them that came out with my agent, and this guy Lenny wouldn't stop talking and telling jokes. And I looked over and I said, "So, you're off book, aren't you, Lenny?" He said, "Huh?" I said, "Well, you're trying to distract everybody. I mean, what are you doing here?" So I said, "Why are you doing that?" So the casting agent came out and told him to shut up because he was making a lot of noise. I went in, I came in, I felt so comfortable. I went up to Lenny and I said, "Lenny, you might as well go home. I got the part." And I got the part.
Yeah. No.
But there are guys out there that are going to try to, it's almost like a race car, when you're in an event, NASCAR, the guy's trying to get you off the road because he wants to win.
Yeah.
I know it's cruel, but there's only one person going to get the job. When I was up for Bullets Over Broadway, my dear friend Tony Darrow and I were up against each other. The last two people up for the role of Nick Valenti. It was either Tony or it was either Vinny. So we go in on a Saturday morning, and Susan Stroman's there, and Woody, and all these production people. And I went in first, and I came out, and Tony was sitting there, and he said, "I heard you. You might as well go home. I got this role." And I wanted to say, "Well, why are you putting that zing on me, So 2 days later, my agent calls me and says, "You got the role." And I said, "Oh, great." And he handles Tony also. So Tony called me on a Saturday morning by 8 o'clock. He said, "I just talked to Woody. He's going to give you the role." Now, I knew the day before that I got the part. So I said, "Oh, is that right, Tony? Woody called you and told you he's going with me." He said, "Yeah, he wanted the fat guy." I said, "Okay, all right, Tony." And that's how actors are. But I'm good friends with Tony. He's my first guest on my podcast. We just did a movie together called Made in Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
But that's,
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody's like that, but a lot of people I know are like that.
A competitive business, indeed.
Yeah, very, very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got a couple of guys in my class. They're the same age. They look like each other. And they hang out together. And I said, "You guys go up for the same parts?" And they say, "Yeah." I said, "How do you feel about it?" And they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That they're up against each other, because only one person's going to get the part.
Yeah.
Not two. So what I try to do sometimes with theater is I split the cast. I go cast A, cast B. And if I put the show up and I'm doing like 15 shows, I'll give one cast 7 shows and the other cast another 7 shows. Mm. That's why I have an alternate cast in case somebody gets sick. I like to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because with theater, it's unpredictable.
Yeah, you don't know who's going to get sick. Mm-hmm. I remember we were doing Bullets one night, and Nick Cadero got stuck on the subway. And there's an equity rule in that curtain's 8 o'clock, but if you're not in that theater by 7:30, your understudy goes up. Mm-hmm. So they made the call at 7:30 that the understudy was going up, and Nikki comes running in, and Susan turned around and rolled. The stage manager said, "You could watch the show tonight, but you're not going on."
Yeah. Yeah, tough call, but makes sense. Yeah.
That's the way they run it. Those are rules of the union.
Mm-hmm. Sure. You mentioned rejections, and that's emotionally draining rejections.
Yeah.
And sometimes they happen one after another until you get that amazing project that is worth the rejections. But while you're going through, sometimes that cycle, sometimes just a few in between. How do you deal with that emotionally?
You have to forget about it. You have to, if you go on an audition today and then you have a callback, let's say tomorrow, mm-hmm. and you don't hear from your agent or the casting people, you just have to forget about it. Mm-hmm. Like it almost never happened. Because if you ponder over it, you won't be able to focus and get into your next step of your life. You know, it's hard. It's hard. Rejection is the hardest part. I mean, I don't know of one actor that I've ever met in my career that enjoys auditioning. That's
Yeah.
tough.
I just hear that auditioning is part of the job, so you have to love it. But I like how you bring it up.
And now
you have to enjoy it.
And now with the COVID-19 shutdown, everything's being done on the computer. I find it almost impossible to audition for a role over a computer. I need, because I teach acting down in Greenwich Village HB Studios, and they asked me, do you want to teach Zoom? And a lot of the teachers are down there teaching Zoom. And I just feel that, see, acting is reacting. And we just did a production of Lovers and Other Strangers with my theater company and Renegade. We did it on Zoom. It came out good. You could look it up on Facebook. It came out really good, but it was hard to do. Because what you're doing on Zoom, the way I'm talking to you, it's a constant close-up. There's no two shots, there's no wide shot, you know, and to make it interesting, we give ourselves background. Like, I have the San Francisco Bridge back at me, and I'll tell you a little while why I have that. But it's, you know, everybody says Zoom is the way of the future. Well, I hope not. I hope that people aren't going to be like in Europe watching Phantom of the Opera via Zoom, because you lose the whole experience of going to the theater. You know, the reaction. It's like stand-up comedy. A comedian isn't as good as his audience. You know, and the same thing with an actor. When you do live theater, you get an automatic reaction, and you can go back the next night and fix it. When you're doing a film, sometimes you have to wait 6 months for it to come out. Same thing with television. Sometimes it never comes out. So it's pretty frustrating.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
San Francisco, you brought it up.
Well, what's going on is because of the shutdown in California, I was scheduled to be in San Jose July 11th, do a nice big project with Mickey Rourke and Michael Madsen and Gianni Russo, Tara Reid, and California got shut down. So they said maybe October.
Yeah.
You know,
well, we all can't wait for it to go back to normal.
But we went back to work in New York. I have friends of mine that are going upstate to shoot. See, it's hard to shoot in the city, and de Blasio is giving everybody permits to shoot outside. But to shoot actually in a studio, production is starting to go upstate where, you know, they could actually produce stuff with the new, we call them the white pages for the COVID-19 rules. And you could shoot with a smaller crew upstate. So a lot of smaller productions are going upstate to shoot. Fortunately, Jersey, Connecticut, and New York, we're back at a decent level now, where we could maybe start. I go back to work Monday.
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing a podcast, but I'm doing it in the studio in New York, and my guests are going to zoom in the way I'm zooming in with you.
Yeah.
But I have to go back to work, otherwise. You know, as an artist, if you don't paint, if you don't write, if you don't act, if you don't sing, what are you going to do?
100%. I think we're all in this together.
Yeah.
We're struggling, but I'm really praying it's not going to be for long and things are going to be back to normal.
Were you from Italy?
No, I was born in Russia. I moved.
Oh, okay. But you have like that Italian accent.
Yeah, I hear that actually often.
Okay. Well, if you want to send me over to Russia to do a movie, I'll go.
Sounds good. Let's go together. I haven't been for a while.
Oh, really? Where were you born?
I moved here when I was 13, so that was a while ago. 20 years.
Okay. All right, good. And here is where are you? Where are you talking to me from?
From Pennsylvania.
Where?
In Langhorne.
I go out there a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, let me know you're here next time.
Well, I don't know when the next time is, but
Yeah.
we go out there a lot. A
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
What have you filmed something in Pennsylvania?
No, I go out and I do meet and greets, and I do soprano things, and sometimes I go out with my band.
Nice.
Yeah, I go out a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that in the future we'll be able to organize something with you in person.
Well, we're going to start to open up theater again. I have a production meeting with my theater company Thursday night. It's working with Zoom, but I don't want to get anybody sick or anything. But we got to get back to work.
Yeah.
So what I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to my producers from my podcast. I said, just follow the same guidelines what Screen Actors Guild is doing. I don't know what you're doing out there, but we're requiring anybody who comes into a studio, before they come to the studio, you got to get tested. You got to make sure your temperature's checked, and you got to wear your face masks. I have a rehearsal starting next Wednesday. I'm actually going to incorporate the bandana as part of the wardrobe.
Mm.
So if it's going to be around their neck, they're playing soldiers. I said, wear the bandanas, so when they walking off stage, they can just put them back up again.
Good.
And I'm going to bond it where they're not close to each other. So it's an experiment, but we're going to try to do it. And the only other problem is audiences. They're cutting audiences down to like a third of what's allowed. That's why Broadway, I don't know when Broadway's going to open, but off-Broadway will open up soon.
Do you fully immerse into nonstop auditions, or do you continue working on the side? Like, how do you make it work?
You have to have a job where the people are flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Like driving a cab or being a limousine driver is good, because you can say to dispatch, I can't work tomorrow, and you're not going to get fired. Having a 9-to-5 job in the corporate world, you can't become. You could become community theater actor and work at night, but you're not going to become a professional actor. To become a professional actor, you have to strip away everything that you were doing in your real world, focus on that, and any way you can make money on the side, waitressing, bartending, driving a cab, driving a limo, temp work. Now with everything, my daughter works out of a house on the computer. So a lot of this is, you could work out of your house. I have a student of mine who I told him, go become a real estate broker. I said, because you can make some good money, you make a score, and then if you take some time off, because you got to go do a film or something, you're not losing your job. So he's trying to get his broker's license right now. So you can, as they say, don't quit your day job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have money coming in. And even that, I mean, so many talented people, as the years went by, whether they didn't invest their money properly or they spent too much, they wind up filing bankruptcy. The guy who used to co-host Johnny Carson, Ed McMahon, he bankruptcy. So many guys, they spend too much money. They don't know. You don't know when your next paycheck's coming in. Mm-hmm. So you have to set yourself up in a lifestyle where, okay, I don't have that many expenses.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Don't get a big mortgage. Don't go buy a brand new Cadillac. You could drive around in a Chevy. Don't go out every Saturday night to a fancy restaurant and spend $400 or $500. Learn to cook home. And the best thing to do is to have a group of people that you can work around with. In my case, I have my theater company, Renegade, with Maureen and Stephen Van Zandt, and that keeps us going when times are tough. It keeps us sharp.
Do you consistently stay in character while you're filming, or how do you go in and out?
No, it's hard. As opposed to be doing a play. When you're doing a play, you're backstage, you're in your dressing room, you start getting into character, the curtain comes up, you're in character for 2-3 hours. When you're doing a movie, especially a movie and a television show where they keep jumping around, you may shoot the ending the first day, and then as you go along, you're shooting different scenes. And what you need to do is, in your script, you have to write in references to where you were before in that project, before the scene came up, so you know your moment before. It's hard to stay in character. Some actors like De Niro do stay in character 100%, Al Pacino 100%, Daniel Day-Lewis. But I don't believe in that. I don't believe that when you take your break from shooting a scene with maybe Gandolfini or Armand Assante, when you go to craft service to eat dinner, you still got to be that same guy. You got to be able to turn it on and turn it off. Especially if you're doing a series, you don't want to bring that character home to your family, So you got to learn how to turn it on and turn it off.
Definitely a big supporter, but I know that actors who are just starting out are always wondering, is it worth joining, or should I just start as a non-union and try
I mean, I'm not going to, as a member of Screen Actors Guild National Board, I'm not going to discourage anybody from joining the union. We want actors to join the union. But what's happening right now, there is no work. Mm-hmm. So I tell my students, if you're going to lay out money now, how are you going to make it back? So wait until it picks up and then go join the union. If you're allowed to join, you see, when I was able to get into the union, it was a lot easier. You get what we call upgrades. Back then, if I was like, for instance, I was on Carlito's Way, I got an upgrade. It could happen to you. I got an upgrade. I got my union card working with Lou Gossett Jr. They gave me a line. I said the line, you automatically get your card. It's not like that now. Yeah. It's not. It's hard to get your card now. You got to get vouchers. See, were you with AFTRA before you became SAG?
I already joined when it was SAG-AFTRA.
Oh, so you joined SAG-AFTRA. Because when we merged, we took all the actors from AFTRA. So they didn't have to join SAG. We just automatically merged. Yeah,
I went the hard way.
You went in the hard way. How'd you get your card? How'd you get your card?
Well, I got actually 3 background vouchers, but I actually had to audition for my background roles because they were featured backgrounds. So I had to audition for them.
And they gave you vouchers because you had you were in the scene with the principal actors?
Yep.
What projects were they?
One was Do No Harm, another one was The Americans, and another one was Silver Linings Playbook.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you do that, in Philly?
Silver Linings was in Upper Derby here in Pennsylvania. It was the diner scene that she got, Jennifer Lawrence got her Oscar for. So that was awesome. So I got to see my face on the Oscar screen, and that was my first project. So that was awesome.
That's exactly right. When I started off, I was working on doing a lot of work with De Niro projects. Mm-hmm. And I was in Goodfellas, and I was in Awakenings, and both of those.
I remember you in Awakenings. I saw you. I was like, oh,
So it's cool when you look back and you say,
yes.
I worked with these guys. It's really cool when you look back. A lot of people from the chorus work their way up. Yeah. They understudy the roles, and then a lot of times they have the opportunity to go on. Sometimes they don't have the opportunity to go on. My understudy, when I was doing Bullets Over Broadway, never had the opportunity to go on because I never missed a show.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, Vinny, when are you going to take a night off? I said, I'm not.
Yeah. But was that
I was fighting cancer, too. I was going through, I was having a tough time. I was going through radiology in the morning. So sometimes I get nauseous. And Billy used to say, you want me to go on tonight? I said, nope.
That's impressive.
And the reason why you don't want your understudy to go on is because there are people that traveled maybe from Pittsburgh and came to New York to see the show and to see the cast.
Yep.
They didn't pay to come to see the understudies.
Yes.
And they make the announcement at the top of the show, so-and-so is going to be playing this. So if you have a problem with it, go back to the box office before the curtain comes up and change your ticket. But that's true, you know.
But, you know, things happen.
Yeah, of course it happens.
Yeah. How do you transition between stage acting and film acting?
I started off doing stage work.
Mm-hmm.
When I was when I got out of service, I studied acting at Pace College in New York, and I was pursuing acting, but I couldn't get a job. So I became a bartender, and then I became a club owner. I got into the club business, and my passion was always acting. So I would occasionally go do community theater, and then regional theater. And so theater was my first love. In fact, one of my clubs that I had called the Crazy Horse, I built a stage in there with stage lights, and I was thinking of a stage, you know, and we lasted for a long time. I didn't get into film acting until I was 42 years old. My first job was an independent called Black Roses, and then my second job was Nancy Savoca's True Love, which won the Sundance Film Award.
Yeah.
But I was 42 when I started, you know, so I've been doing it. Well, I'm 74 years old now. How long is that? I can't even count. How many years is that? 30, 40?
22.
Not 22. 1985. What year is this? 85. Count it. Figure it out for me. 1985. I gotta get it.
Recently.
No, but I was in the club business all those years, and then I got burnt out. I couldn't do it anymore. It was the toll was too much. Coming home late, partying, you know.
But I mean, this job is not, time-wise. It's not.
No, acting is healthy.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
It's a good creative outlet. A lot of people who have problems, they get into acting. It's a great release because it's a great means of self-expression.
That's
you
true.
know. And what's great is that you bring your problems into the characters you play.
Yes. Yes, and I think that makes the best actors.
Yeah.
You're able to reflect.
And that's when I teach. I say your best knowledge is your background, your experience. You have to say to yourself, what if? What if I stayed in the bar business? If I stayed in the bar business, who would I be? And then I did a play called Lamppost Reunion. It was about a guy who was behind the bar for years, and it was a stinky, rotten bar. And that's who he became. And then I just did a play with Little Steven called Lovers and Other Strangers. And my character was this blue-collar guy who yells and screams around the house. Not that I would have became that, but I think that if I stayed back in that world I was living in, and I said it to Steven and Maureen, I probably would have ended up being that guy. But I made a choice, and it was hard because at the beginning there's no money coming in. You know, I drove a limousine. I did whatever I had to do to supplement my income until things started to change. God bless Screen Actors Guild. They just changed all of that. Look at the new contract.
Okay.
Don't even worry about that stuff anymore. I call it the Weinstein contract. And it's to protect not just women, but protect men and women. You can't go into a hotel room anymore to meet a producer, director. You cannot go around and keep taking off your clothes just so this guy can see a bunch of girls naked. You take off the clothes in the callback. There has to be a representative from Screen Actors Guild on the set to make sure both parties are protected. It's got to be a closed set now. There's so many things in the new contract that is pushing all that away because of the Me Too movement. Listen, I worked with Annabella Sciorra. She played my daughter in True Love. I worked with her on a lot of projects, and then she was on Sopranos, and she's like a daughter to me. The hell that she went through, yeah, we needed to pass this new contract. Take a look at the new contract. It's so good with this Me Too movement for all of us. Mm-hmm. A lot of things are changing, and you know. Is it all resolved? No, it's never going to be resolved, but we're in a lot better shape now than we were before. Also, in the new contract is, streaming shows like Apple and Hulu and Amazon. We're not getting residuals. Like I did one season of Hulu, Wu-Tang. I'm not getting residual. As of now, you can get residuals if you go to work as of now. Once that contract, you'll get residuals from all of that. And these are the changes that we made because we have to adjust to what's coming down the line. And what's coming down the line is you're not going to see movies in the theater as much as you used to. Mm-hmm. It's all going to cable. It's all going on streaming. So we need to get, as union actors, we need to get paid from that, you know. But to go back to nudity, it doesn't have to happen. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to, listen, I was watching Natalie Wood last night in a movie, Sex and the City, Sex and the City Girl with Tony Curtis. She's always showing her back. She was in Bob and Carol and 10 Lives. Natalie was not ashamed of her body in Gypsy. It's a woman's choice. Some actresses will never do it.
And that's fine. That's fine. But some are wondering whether they should, and they don't know whether it will affect their the way they looked at.
It's their own choice. Mm-hmm. You make your own choice. But as you move along professionally, you need the guidance of a manager and agent. Example, before everything got shut down, I was asked to audition for a new HBO project. One of the new conditions with SAG-AFTRA is you must let the actor know what is required of his character if he gets the job. And it says right there on the audition piece, simulated sex. Mm-hmm. So you say to the agent, what does this mean? And he says, well, you got to do some nudity scenes. And I go, well, I don't do that. So, but that's me. Yeah. That's me. I won't do that. Mm-hmm. Although I'm doing Hawaii 5-0, and I looked at the script, but the way they shot it, they took it a little too far. It was a little too risque. And you see me all over YouTube with hardly any clothes on, lying in a bed, because what happens to my character in Hawaii 5-0 is that I pick up this girl and she handcuffs me and she robs me. Mm-hmm. But it's a comedy. Yeah. And seeing me naked in bed is funny. You make your own decisions. It's like me. Everybody says, and it's probably one of the questions out there, how do you feel being typecasted? Well, I made that choice. You know, I'm an Italian American from New York, and if Hollywood sees me as a wise guy, I didn't grow up a wise guy. My father wasn't a wise guy. I knew wise guys. But that's what Hollywood sees me. If Hollywood says, come on, Scarlett Johansson is one of the greatest actresses around out there. Don't tell me she didn't do some movies where she shed a couple of clothes. I mean, it's just part. It depends. It depends if it fits in the storyline. But don't say, if I don't take this role, my career's down the tube. Guess what? Maybe your career will be in better shape. Mm-hmm. I used to have an acting teacher. His name was Nico. He said, you got to be careful with these independent movies because they give you a scene and you take the job and you go shoot a scene, but you don't know what the rest of the movie's about. Mm-hmm. Especially if it's an independent non-union. You don't know what the rest of the movie's about. So before you take these scenes, tell them, I got to look at the whole script. I got to see what's going on.
There is a belief that once you start doing background, that you're looked at as background. But do you mind elaborating on it? Is it worth the experience in your mind? Can you put a resume?
if you're a member of SAG-AFTRA and you're doing background work, every time you go to work, you're gaining money for your health benefits. There's a quota, you know that. Every time you go to work, I mean, look, I had a triple bypass. I had cancer, diabetes, all these things that you can imagine. I have insurance from my union, and they're good insurance. That's what you gain by going to work on a SAG-AFTRA set. Who looks at you as an extra and doesn't give? They don't even know you're there. You think a director of an episode of Law and Order? I'll give you an example. I used to do a lot of extra work for Law and Order, and guess who did extra work with me on Law and Order? Vin Diesel. And whenever I see Vin, he says to me, "Vin, hey, remember we did extra work on Law and Order? It didn't hurt him. It didn't hurt me."
Yeah.
You know, if you look at movies, I saw an old cowboy movie the other night, and who was singing a song? Rita Moreno. She had like a 4-minute song at the beginning of the movie, and I said, "That's Rita Moreno." But then she became West Side Story, and who she became. I did a movie with her called Blue Moon. You got to start somewhere. And a lot of teachers say, "I don't want you to go out there for 2 years." Why? You're not going to learn by staying home. You're not going to learn by just doing scene work with your scene partner or going to class once a week. You got to go on a set. Like you said, you watch people work. You watch the director. You watch them how to set up the camera. You know what a take is. You learn. A lot of times you go over with the principals and you say, "You want to run lines?"
Yeah.
No. No, go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work.
What about resume? Is that okay to put background work on the resume? As you said?
Don't put it on.
Okay, so
no,
right.
Because then they're gonna think, "Oh, he was on Law and Order. What episode? What character? Who?" They're gonna say, "Oh, you were an extra." So then they're gonna say all this other stuff here is extra work. No, you list your principal work, and that's why independents and short films are great, because you can say, The Ref, the what was it called? The Bet, short film by Ted Demme, role of Nino. It's on my resume, right? It's a short film. It's a good credit. But if I put down The Irishman, Man in the Crowd, extra, they don't see you as someone who could maybe cover the role that they have for you. So no, you don't put that. You put down your strong theater credits, who you train with, and all of your good principal work. And your good principal work should be on a reel. Because they're not even looking at resumes anymore. They're looking at reels.
Yeah.
Other thing, when we talked to my actors in my class, they said, "What about extra work?" I said, "You're not going to learn anything sitting in your house. So go on a set."
Yeah. And then you watch
and make money.
Sure.
And you don't know what's going to happen. Like my friend Joe, from my class, he was in The Irishman, and he's so happy because when you look at The Irishman, you can see him. And he tells people, "I'm in The Irishman." And he is. He's in The Irishman.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of nice close-ups, and he's screaming and yelling. We had, since March 10th, probably the least amount of actors in our history some of the actors were not able to pay their dues. I mean, if you got a Screen Actors Guild dues bill in front of you and you got an empty refrigerator during COVID-19 and you got to feed your family, you got to make a choice. And we understand that. So we're trying to make extensions for these people who couldn't pay the dues yet, to get all this stuff extended. Because this is really, really a bad time in the entertainment business.
And unprecedented. Yeah.
Not just bad for actors, but it's bad for musicians. It's bad for, artists, producers, writers. It's the entertainment business, I got hit the worst because unless they create work in an environment that's safe for everybody, unless there's some kind of an antivirus, I don't know how we were really going to get back to doing movies like The Irishman again. I mean, we can go and do some nice independent films, you know. And on the soap operas, I hear they're using mannequins for love scenes.
I heard that.
You heard that? They're using a mannequin.
I heard that, yeah. Well, I also heard some studios are just closing down the studio for the time being, like 8 weeks of shooting. They close down the studio, nobody in, nobody out, just same people living on set, and like everybody comes in with a test. So.
What do you mean they're closing down the studio for just the people?
Like everybody just like lives where, like I heard that everybody just lives. Sometimes there are hotels like nearby, and everybody just there doesn't go home to families. Just goes straight.
Yeah, that's what Tyler. What's his name? Tyler Perry. In Atlanta, he brought everybody down 15 days in advance, and they're doing something out in Long Island where the actors. It's a show on Showtime. I don't watch it that much, but you probably know, or HBO. And they're putting the actors in like campers 15 days before they shoot. Now, we see the bridge in back of me. If I did go to San Jose, when I came home, I would have to be in quarantine for 15 days. See, it's tough.
Indeed.
You know, do you want to go do a movie and then come home and you have to be in quarantine and you don't know what you're going to pick up?
No.
You know, you don't know if some PA rode the subway, put his hands on a railing, picked up COVID-19, brought it in. That's why, like, you know, we love craft services on a film. They're not doing that anymore. You won't be able to and put your hands in and get the nuts and that. Yeah, everything's have to be boxed lunch. You have to get tested before. If you're doing a regular series, let's say if Blue Bloods came back, all those actors have to get tested 3 times a week. Those are the new, we call them the white pages.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't mean we're not going to go back to work. We are going back to work, but we don't want anybody getting sick.
Yeah. So do you think right now, and that would be more of an advice to screenwriters, do you think they should now adjust all the scripts with that in consideration, or should they look at it more like, you know, in a year or so things are going to be back to normal, so like just keep creativity flowing?
It depends. The movie I'm doing out in San Jose, or when it opens up, the script would say. And as it didn't get approved, and as I was reading it, I called up the producer. I said, "You're gonna have to get rid of all this stuff if you want this script approved." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because they're not gonna let you do it. They're not gonna let you have love scenes. They're not gonna let you do big crowd scenes, big mafia crowd scenes. You got to make adjustments." So we got approved to shoot the movie with his budget, but he won't be able to do it until October 18th. If he wants to get it done before, he's got to come back and make it so there's no more than 75 people on the set, and that includes the whole crew. You know about that. Yeah. Actors can't be sitting around all day in a holding area waiting to shoot a scene. They're not going to permit this anymore because that's how you get sick. But I can go to work in my studio down on Madison Avenue because I get in a car, I go downtown, I get dropped off, I go in the building. They're only letting one person in an elevator at a time now. Mm-hmm. You go up to the studio, you get there, you do your show, and then you repeat what you did coming in. And we get tested with the make sure you don't have a fever and all that. Yeah. Is it easy? No. Is it harder? Yeah. But it's either that or staying home and, going crazy.
Yeah.
Stay busy. So when your question is, should they rewrite these scripts? Yeah, if they want them done.
Yeah.
My friend, he's my second cousin. He wrote a script and he calls me up. He said, "Why is the union giving me a hard time with the script?" I said, "Because you got all these crowd scenes and you have all this killing and all this sex and they're not going to approve these scripts now because they're going to not let you do them. So what's going to work? Family movies. Animated movies are taking off. If you got a good talent with your voice, get into voiceover work. Animated movies are really going to take off. And low budget movies are going to take off even more so because these projects go right to streaming networks. Hulu, Amazon, Apple. They're going right to Netflix. They're not getting major theatrical releases. So they're not being made as a theatrical production. And I'm telling you something, a lot of these movies are really, really good. I mean, I love low-budget independent movies, so it's really good to see these things coming out faster than norm. But if somebody's out there and they want to write a script, think about the times, cut back on the love scenes, and you got to adjust it. Otherwise, you're not going to get your project done. You know? Maybe I could encourage some people out there to really pursue acting as a career. You know, there are a lot of actors who work 9 to 5, and I teach them, and then they come and do work at night, and you could tell that they're really not happy with their lives. Especially what's going on now. You gotta make yourself happy. You gotta make your family happy. See, one of the things that I regret, and I'll be very honest with you, especially during COVID-19, because I'm alone, I live alone, that I kept saying, if I die here in the house, I would die alone. But I made that choice. I made that choice to go after my career and not focus on family. Now I regret it. I regret that I went after, the fame, and I kind of pushed family aside. Now, are they proud of me? I'm sure they are. Do they understand who I am? No. They don't get it. My sister does not understand my life. My brother-in-law does not understand my daughter does. My ex-wife, we get along better now than we did 25 years ago. And I bring her with me to premieres. I remember I brought her to a movie I did, Revolver. I brought her to the premiere, and she met Madonna. And I said, because I called Madonna Madge, I said, Madge, this is Nancy. She's my ex-wife. And she said, what'd you bring your ex-wife here for? What, are you dating her again? I said, no, where's your husband? I walked away. But that's the kind of relationship I still have with her. And she's a doll. And what's great about that is that my granddaughter knows grandpa and grandma. Maybe they don't live together, and maybe she doesn't understand that, but she knows they're friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important.
But she said to me, my granddaughter said, because they just bought a new house. We have a room for you, Poppy. I said, oh, great. She said, yeah, you and Grandma could stay together in the same room. I said, well, we don't sleep together.
They're trying to bring it back together.
She said, huh? She didn't get it. And then my daughter had to change the subject. Yeah. So I don't want to say Grandma and Grandpa are divorced. I don't know if she understands what the word divorced means yet. She got enough to learn, But it was cute the way she said, you and Grandma can stay together. I said, well, we don't sleep together anymore.
That's
my daughter says to me, my daughter Renee, she said, you guys, your life is a sitcom. And if you ever get back together again, it would probably be a hit sitcom.
Now, you brought up family. Is it challenging to continue leading normal life with family, with close people, friends, when it's such unstable hours, you never know when you're shooting, you can't plan really family trips? Is that a challenge, or are you able to manage around it?
Well, I'll give you almost like a quote that Susan Stroman said when we were closing for Bullets Over Broadway. They have to, equity rule, they have to announce it a week before. So Susan came, she called everybody into the theater at St. James, and she called everybody in, me, myself, the late Nick Cadero, God rest his soul, Brooks, everybody was there, and she said, and Maren Mazin also, who passed away. And she said, it's sad that we have to close, but this is the life that you chose. Yes, it interferes with your relationships. It's hard to have a relationship. It's hard to be married when you're in this business. There's so much disappointment and frustration, but this is the business you chose. And the reward of sacrificing is the acclaim you get, the awards, the Tony Awards, the Screen Actors Guild Awards. But the most important thing is your legacy. We just lost Olivia de Havilland, 101 years old, going with the wind. We lost John Saxon, a wonderful actor, the other day. We lost Regis Philbin. When we see their obituaries on television, we realize that they left us a legacy, and that's the drive. And so the answer to your question is, yeah, it's hard to keep relationships. It's hard to keep the family together, especially when you don't have a steady income.
Mm-hmm. Once you get to the level of being so well recognized, is that challenging to just lead a normal life, go to a restaurant, go to, meet with friends?
Well,
is it difficult?
Jack Nicholson said, if you don't want your picture taken, don't leave your house.
Okay. But
once you leave your house, you cannot, look, I could be watering my lawn. Mm-hmm. And I live out here on City Island, which is a little resort area outside of New York City. And people see me watering my lawn, and they say, oh, that's the guy from The Sopranos. And you try to be nice, but you also want to have your privacy. Mm-hmm. You don't want people to know where you live because you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't want people to know where you live because you don't want to have a bus coming by and everybody waving at your house. But when you go out, especially to restaurants, especially to like concerts, when I go to a concert, I usually try to stay backstage because it's hard to sit in the theater and watch the concert without people, hey, how you doing, blah, 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 take a picture with me. You see, when I was growing up, if you had a Kodak camera and you could take a picture and the film get developed, you get it 10 days later, that was the norm. Now everybody, including my granddaughter, who's 9 years old, has a cell phone and you can take a picture.
Yep.
So everybody wants a picture, which is okay. That's the society we live in now. Everybody takes pictures and they blast them all over social media, whether you want that picture on social media or not. Nobody has any privacy anymore. So if you don't want to get involved with the world outside, stay in your house.
Gotcha.
What else could I tell you?
Makes sense. But do you still enjoy it, or?
No, I love my fans. I really, really do. I wouldn't be doing this with you. I did one with. I did London Sunday night. It was around 6 o'clock New York time. It was 1 o'clock in London for a magazine. I love being interviewed because it gives me a time to reflect on what I did in my life. And, I'm 74 now and I'm looking back. And if I had the chance to do it over again, what would I do? I think what I would do is when I came out of the service and I went to college, I would have stuck with the arts a lot more serious. And my mistake was that my part-time job became my full-time job. I was a bartender and I became a bar owner. And I forgot about the arts until I had a wake-up call. And I had a wake-up call when I was 42 years old. And the wake-up call got me into this business. And now, because of SAG-AFTRA, because of the projects that I did, I have a pension and I got my residuals. So am I comfortable? I'm okay. Do I want to work again? Yes. We all want to work, but I'm not in a bad. I could say to myself, I'm semi-retired, but I don't want to be retired because an actor, you're supposed to work until your last breath. An actor, like a painter, doesn't quit. An actor, like a singer, sings until they don't have a voice anymore. So, no, I don't. I don't think I'm going to retire. I answered my own question.
Good. I'd like to hear that.
Yeah.
So what would be the way for indie filmmakers to get someone of your level into their film? Because of course it's so competitive. Somebody comes with you with A level.
Listen, it's not hard. All they got to do is get approval by SAG to hire an actor like me. It's not hard. People think it's the end of the world. There's a kid in my class, his name is Brad. One day he said, "Hey, Vinny, no, Mr. Pastore, would you be, right in front of everybody, would you be in my short film?" And I looked at him and I says, "Is it SAG?" He said, "Not yet." I said, "You go get SAG approval. You call up my agent. I would be more than happy to be in your project." Oh. He got SAG approval. I didn't ask him for a lot of money. I think I charged him maybe $400 for work as opposed to.
Right.
We got it, and the kid's winning all kinds of awards, and I'm happy to be in this project. But it's not hard. Mm-hmm. People think that, I only got $20,000, and how am I going to get Vinny Pastore in my movie? How am I going to get Kathy Moriarty? How am I going to get Kathy Norducci? Well, you get in touch with their agents, and the agents, if they like your project, they're going to make an offer and say, "I went out and did a project with some people out in California, and Tara Ramonde wrote the script with her husband, who's a famous artist out there. Right now I'm forgetting his name, and it's sad because we shot in San Rafael. Zigo's her husband, famous artist. And she didn't have a big budget, but there was only 5 people in the whole project. And I told her, and we shot it in chronological order. And I said, "This is an amazing process." She says, "I wrote this like a play." And we got it done, and it's winning film festivals. It just won one in San Francisco. So yes, you can get low budgets done. Yes, you can get the players in it. Not everybody's going to ask for a lot of money. Mm-hmm. People want to work. Dan DeFini, Jimmy, God bless him, used to do a lot of short films on his break for people from the crew. "Hey, Jimmy, I got to do something over the summer. Will you be in it?" "Yeah, sure." We all did it. We still do it. So one of my favorite shows to watch awards is not the Academy Awards. It's not the Golden Globes. It's the Spirit Awards. And we have a lot of independent film festivals now in New York. Mm-hmm. I got statues all over here from independent film. An independent film is going to get done faster and get seen a lot sooner than a big budget movie. I mean, the big budget movie makes you a star if it's a hit. But my dear friend Frank Vincent was on The Sopranos. He said you can make 90 movies and only one of them is going to be a hit. Mm-hmm. And that's true, especially when you watch on Turner Classic Movies and they start showing movies of famous actors of films that didn't go anywhere. You say to yourself, when did they make this?
Yeah. No, that's amazing to know, because to people it's some unreachable dream of having someone of your level in their film, and now you made it.
Yeah, but it's not hard. Realistic. It's not impossible. You come up with a SAG. You get permission from SAG-AFTRA to use these actors. Low budget modified movies, you only have to pay a SAG-AFTRA $100, and you own the rest of the money when you sell the movie. I mean, I've done millions of them. Did I ever get the rest of the money? I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll bring it up in the meeting. Where's that money from this movie? But you can go to work and take the $100 a day and be a part of a project. But you have to love the project. You're not going to go, or you have to be doing it for maybe somebody you want to do it for. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, it's got to be a project that you want to do. I have been sent a lot of scripts where I say, what's the sense? Who is this character? And it's like they just want to have a couple of names in the movies, so they're using us for cameos. And I've done them. But when you see them, whether on Netflix or at a film festival, you wish you had a bigger part. I don't care who you are. Cameos are cute, but there's a movie that floats around. It's called Corky Romano, and I did with Peter Falk, and I got 2 little bits in it, and I love the movie so much. I say, why couldn't I be in this movie much more? Yeah. Because cameos are cute, but you wanna be in the movie as long as you can. Same thing with a play.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends in Pittsburgh. I'd like to give a shout out to Joe Grisecki and the House Rockers.
Mm-hmm.
Joe is a dear friend of mine from Pittsburgh, and he plays with Bruce Springsteen all the time when he comes to Asbury Park. And I got some other friends out there, so I just want to say hello, Pittsburgh. Are you near Pittsburgh?
Appreciate it. Yes, we represent both Pittsburgh and Philly and Lancaster.
Oh, Philly.
Yes,
I got a lot of friends in Philly. We shot a movie down in Philly called Made in Chinatown.
Oh, you did shoot in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we shot that in Philly.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, we made Chinatown down there look like Little Italy and Chinatown. We took it out of New York because because it was too costly to shoot in New York. We shot in Philly. We had a good time.
Yeah, awesome. No, Philly has a lot to offer.
Yeah, we shot in Chinatown. We had a good time, and the movie actually is starting to pop up in different film festivals.
Oh, good.
In Chinatown with Tony Darrow and myself, and it's a good cast. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a kung fu wise guy comedy.
Ah.
Yeah, and we're thinking about a sequel.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring more films to Pennsylvania. That's our big goal. Because our film tax credit is capped right now.
Well, then tell them to bring my Wise Guy movie out of San Jose and tell them to bring it to Pennsylvania.
Yes.
My cousin Gary did a movie called Shooting Heroin out there. I was supposed to do it. I couldn't do it. So Gary did it. He did a great job. He won awards. They shot it outside of Pittsburgh area.
Nice.
No, they shot it in Bethlehem. Where's that?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Bethlehem is not far from me, actually.
Yeah, that's where they shot it. So, hey, get us out there. All you got to do is get the production people to come out there. It's probably a lot safer to film in Pennsylvania than to shoot around here.
We're being very safe. We're trying our best.
Yeah. Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
Go get Bradley. Bradley's sweetheart. You worked with him.
Well, he doesn't remember me. It was my first ever, role on screen, and it was a background role.
Okay. Now, we'll go back, and we'll end this up. Now, we have an agent and a manager. Now, how are you going to get in touch with Bradley Cooper?
I'm going to contact his manager.
How do you find out who his manager is?
IMDb Pro.
That's bullshit.
Okay, give me another way.
You get in touch with Screen Actors Guild.
I'll do that.
All right, before we go, I'm working with Puff Daddy. We're doing a clothing line. I worked on Made with P. Diddy. We're doing a clothing line. He puts a picture of me wearing his sweatsuit on the wall of the Hilton Hotel going down Sunset Boulevard. And Guy Ritchie was driving down Sunset going to his house. He and Madonna had a house on Sunset Boulevard. And he saw me. And he called up the union and he said, I want Vincent Pastore. And they, within 10 minutes, said his agent is so-and-so because it's all listed.
Okay.
The union. So that's, if you want Bradley, go through SAG and you can get him and find out who his manager is. Don't approach Bradley by himself. And don't say Vinny told me you want to come on the show.
All right. Well, he's going to hear it because you just recorded it, but.
Well, you also heard a couple other things too about how I won't go nude, and I won't go nude.
Well, but that's
No, I'm not going naked. Sorry.
All right, we'll end it with this then.
They'll take down Christopher Columbus' statue and they'll put a big statue of Big Pussy up in Columbus Circle.
All right, then we'll end it with this. But honestly, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.